What do we have here? We got another Twosun, the ts285. I never had this one before. This is an older model. You can see the ts285 there. It's a long design in M390, so that's nice. I never had this one before, even though it's an older model, and I just got it, and I thought, it's a really nice knife. I think it's really cool. It has some pluses and minuses, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the fact that it's not drop shutty at all, okay? Now, it actually is a little more drop shutty than it was when I first got it, but it's still not quite enough for me. So what can you do about that? Well, you can adjust the lock bar. What makes it not drop shutty? It's not the bearings. It's not the bearings that are doing that, because if I take this lock bar right here and I open it all the way, what are the bearings doing now? Look at that. That's going to be drop shutty as hell, right? Look at that. Look at that. Woo! Right? But as soon as I let go of the lock bar, oop, now it won't fall. Unless I shake it, right? So, it's the lock bar pressing in on the tang of the knife as it's trying to fall that's stopping it from falling. See that pressure? That pressure right there? It's going to press in on the tang of the knife, and it's the little detent ball that's running around this as it moves. Well, I mean, the detent ball is not moving, the blade's moving. So the blade is moving against that lock bar, and the little detent ball sticking out of it up against the blade, and it's stopping it from going down smoothly and quickly, right? So what can you do to fix that? Well, you can adjust the lock bar by bending it out a little more. But can you always do that? No, you can't always do that. When can you do it, though? Let's go through the ways that you can determine whether you can adjust your lock bar to make your knife more drop shutty. First, is it already drop shutty? Because if it is, you don't want to do that. This one, no. I can shake it down, and I've already adjusted it one time. I'm going to go back in and adjust it again, but here's why, though. Here's why I can. How's the detent? That's one of the first things you want to check. Is your detent already nice and strong? This one is pretty strong. It has different ways of opening. It has thumb studs. The thumb studs are very strong. Well, that time I just slipped off. The thumb studs are very strong, so no problem with that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to adjust this lock bar out a little bit. That's going to make the detent a little weaker. So if your detent is already weak, let's say if I could just shake this blade out real easy, that would mean I don't want to do a lock bar adjustment because it's going to make it even weaker. But this one's pretty strong. So I'm going to be able to adjust the lock bar out a little bit and still have plenty of good detent. Okay? So that's one thing you want to look at. Another thing you want to look at is the lockup. Is the lockup strong? And when I mean strong, I don't mean deep. That's different. Strong means, is it a strong lockup? Can I press my thumb very lightly on this lock bar and have it start moving off of the blade? So I'm going to try it. Let's see, I'm going to press on it very lightly. Nope, it won't move off. I'm going to press a little harder. Nope, it still won't move off. I'm going to press a little harder yet. Oh, there, it moved off then. So I had to put like 7 or 8 pounds of pressure to get it to move off of the blade. Okay, if it only takes the tiniest bit of pressure and then you see it moving, that means you can't do a lock bar adjustment, because if you do, you're going to end up with it off of the blade already, even when it's supposed to be locked. Then you'll get lock rock. So you don't want that. So you need a strong lockup where you have to press hard to get the lock bar off of the blade, and you need a nice strong detent already, because your lock bar adjustment is going to make that weaker. So I'm going to take this thing apart. You usually have to take a knife apart to adjust the lock bar, because there's always something stopping the lock bar from moving over on most knives. There's a couple that don't, but most knives have something that stops it from moving over too far and letting you bend it out. So I'm basically just bending this out, but I can't because this big piece of titanium is here in the way. So let me get it taken apart and then we'll look at it. All right, for some knives, you're going to have to take this little screw out here, because this is the screw that holds in the steel insert that's inside the lock bar. Now, some knives, maybe you won't. There's not very many that are like this one. This one's kind of weird. I would normally have to take this whole side frame off to be able to bend the lock bar out, because this little insert here normally has a little tang that hangs down below and keeps the lock bar from going out past the point of this side. But this one doesn't have that little piece, because it normally has this metal plate sitting on top of it, and that plate stops the lock bar from going out too far. So you don't have a little lock bar stop. Over travel stop is what they call it, so it doesn't over travel. So instead it has that plate. With the plate gone, now I can press this lock bar out as far as I want. Now the strength of the titanium there is stopping me from doing it. Basically I'm bending right here just a little bit, bending it out a little more than it was so that it will fall a little more freer, be a little more drop shutty, you know. Now it's not going to be very drop shutty at all right now because the screws aren't in place and it's all twisted up. So basically I got to move it a little bit. I got to press it out pretty far, put it all back together, then see if it worked. And then hopefully I didn't go too far and then I have to bend it back, because then I will have to take the whole thing apart to bend it back in a little further. So we'll see. I'm going to bend it out and put it back together and we'll check it out. So I got it done, and look how drop shutty. So nice, right? But no, I went a little bit too far. Not much, but just barely too far. So if you look, the lock bar, when I try to move it, it starts moving right away because it's not even touching the bottom of the blade. So I push it out too far. Now I got to push it back in just a little bit. So it's real drop shutty. And the detent's still not bad, but it's a little light. So we need to add a little bit more pressure back onto it. Not much, just a little bit. So it's not the end of the world. I went too far. You don't want to go keep back and forth like that. However I get it after pushing it back, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to keep pushing it back and forth. That's not good for the titanium. It can actually break. So wherever it ends up after this adjustment, that's it. So you can see, let me zoom in a little bit. So you can see that's that little insert and how it most of them will have a little tab that sticks off the bottom and stops right up against this part. So if you go this far, it hits right there, you know. But this one doesn't. So I don't need to mess with that though. But this is what I'm adjusting. This little lock bar here, he's set to be bent in a little bit, right? But he was bent in way more before, but I pushed him out more. Now he's too far out. Now he's got to go back in a little bit. So I'm looking at it and I'm kind of measuring. I'm seeing, okay, how far in is it now? Looks like about 1/16 of an inch. So if I bend it in a little more to where it's in a little bit, then it should be perfect. So I'm going to try right now. So let's look and see where it is now. And I'm going to bend it a little bit. I think I did move it just a little bit. So now it's staying a little further in. I think that's where I want it. So hopefully that's it. And hopefully it's nice and still drop shutty, but also locks up fully. So let's find out. I couldn't be too much happier with the way it came out. Lockup is good. Like I can try to press against it. There's no play. There's no lock rock. Its drop shuttiness is not quite there, but man, with the slightest little bump, it goes down. So that's good enough for me. I'd call it hydraulic drop shutty, you know. Very nice. And the detent is still about 80 to 85% as strong as it was, which is good. So, I mean, that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for way better drop, so it's doesn't take 10 shakes to get it to close. The detent's still pretty good, which, you know, sometimes on a knife, if you did as much of a lock adjustment as I did, you might make the detent too weak. It might end up being that, wow, now the detent's too weak and I can just shake the blade out. This one, no, not so much. It kind of depends on lots of little factors. The geometry of the thumb studs, the depth of the detent hole that's in the blade, and the size of the detent ball that's on the lock bar, and all kinds of things. But in this one, it worked out good. So the action's still really good. Nice and drop shutty now. And the detent's still good. And just has no problems at all. Is it well centered again? Because I took it apart like 3 or 4 times. Looks good. Great knife. And we'll review this guy upcoming, the ts2, what was it? 285. ts285, very cool knife. An older one. You see them come up now and then. I think maybe they're redoing them. They might be making them again. I'm not sure. Twosun does that a lot. Like they'll kind of reissue some of the ones that were popular. And this one just had a real tight everything in it. So it needed to be kind of untightened. Wee knives are kind of like this a lot, to where that lock bar is real strong and not very drop shutty. And with some use, they can wear in, or you can just bend it out a little bit. So how to adjust your drop shuttiness on a ts, damn it, ts285. Have a nice day.